Browns fans, welcome into another victory edition of Browns Live. Nathan Zegura now joined by the head coach of your Cleveland Browns for this week's game review. And coach, we got a big show. Myles Garrett's in the player spotlight. The Hop's going to join us to get in the film room. But what did you see when you went in the film room and broke down that 26-6 win over the Bears?
First thing that jumps out to you is the dominant defense. I mean, those guys were flying around, and I think it really was a great illustration of rush and coverage working together. The rush was getting home, they were getting home quickly, and the coverage was really sticky. Guys were covering their opponents, so I thought it was a really impressive defensive performance.
Do you ever go back and when you watch the game think in your mind, what would I have tried to do on a day like this when a D just has it going and a crowd is feeding off of that energy?
It's a really tough place to play when our crowd is into it like they were and like they always are, and our defense is flying around. That can really make it hard on opposing offenses, and I think therein lies the home field advantage that we have down there on the lake.
We've talked so many times about in some of those competitive periods where this D-line makes things sometimes tough in practice. So you knew it was there, and we talked, I think last week, we said sacks sometimes come in bunches. Well, 9 of them. Was this kind of what you'd seen on the practice field taken out into the game?
Well, I wasn't anticipating 9, but I think the pressure number is what really matters to us, and that's the number that I always look at. And I know our pressure was close. We played some elusive quarterbacks early in this season, and I think that'll only serve us well as we go forward because there are more and more guys that can hurt you with their feet in the NFL.
They say the best teaching tape is coming out of a win where you can nitpick, but we still get that W and we can try to improve. What are some of the things you saw in that game maybe that you want to improve on either side of the ball?
Yeah, I'd say certainly offensively we have to be better in our operation. We had some snap count issues. We had some guys coming in and out of the huddle. It just wasn't clean, and that shouldn't be us at home, and that's something that we've certainly addressed, and I have to do my part in that as well, making sure that the guys are ready to go, the plan is clear, and that we can operate a little bit better than we did last Sunday.
It's a 3-phase game. Special teams, McLaughlin hitting bombs, Felton 12 yards short of the total punt return yards from last season in one game, had multiple longer than the longest return all of last season. What did you see from that third phase of the game?
They were unbelievable. Our punt return unit was outstanding, and obviously Dimitrik gets the fruits of the labor of our vice. Just go watch that tape and look at our vice on the outside, locking down those gunners. I mean, they were outstanding. And then Dimitrik hit it. I mean, he plays fast. He's very quick, as you know, so the first guy he will make miss and then can put his foot in the ground. And then just chase affecting the game. I mean, hitting those long ones, really just making all your kicks. I mean, he's proving to be very dependable, and we put him in some tough moments, and he came through.
The 57-yarder, was that you knew going into the game what was his limit?
So Coach Prefer and I talked before the game about how pregame goes and how the wind is. So my initial thought was to punt there just because of where we were. But Preef and I talked quickly about this is the range that the kid was coming through in pregame, so we decided to kick it.
What does it mean to have the defense put in that historic performance? 75th anniversary season. That was the fewest total yards ever allowed by a Cleveland Browns team, fewest net passing yards ever allowed by a Cleveland Browns team.
Yeah, it's pretty special, Nathan. And last week our main focus was we have to get off the field on third down. And we worked really hard putting together a plan that was sound, a plan that the guys could execute at a high level and freely. And that requires working really hard. So I would take you back to Thursday of last week. That was as good a Thursday practice that our defense has had since I've been here. Guys were flying around. The defensive line was running their stunts and their games with precision. Guys were understanding what they were supposed to do on each play. And I saw it show up on the game. I just told the players, it reinforces the message of we focus on the work, and that's why, because the work shows up on Sunday.
All right, and that work showing up, Carla wants to know, will that aggressive defensive play calling we saw last week against the Bears be commonplace going forward?
Yeah, Carla, I would tell you that every game we have a different plan to win that specific game. So it might be, and it might not. We just want to make sure that we're versatile enough in our defense to take away what they do well. And so at times that will be a very aggressive style. At times it won't. It's just really dependent on the opponent.
Coach, thanks so much for the insights on that victory. We'll talk with you later on in the show to preview the trip to Minnesota to take on the Minnesota Vikings. And when we come back on Browns Live, Joe Thomas joins the show, and we'll hear from Myles Garrett, fresh off his franchise record 4.5 sack performance against the Chicago Bears.
They said it couldn't be done, but somehow CCM was able to close this home in just 21 days. Carl, how'd you pull this off?
Oh, hard work, dedication, grinding.
Were you ever worried?
Well, you know, Chloe, they pinned us in deep in the second bedroom, inspection issues, but we regrouped. Knew there was still a lot in play.
Well, I'm sure the Franklins were pleasantly surprised.
We got a good organization here. A lot to look forward to.
Good luck with the next close. And there you have it. Cross Country Mortgage is dedicated to getting it done.
The world has changed, but some facts remain. Every 40 seconds, someone has a heart attack, and every hour, over 700 people suffer a broken bone. While those numbers haven't changed, there are fewer people seeking the treatment they need. If you're injured, sick, or in pain, it's safe to get the care you need at university hospitals. Protecting your health with science and compassion. That's UH Safe.
Be part of one of the most passionate fan bases in the NFL. Join the Browns season ticket member waitlist today for the best chance at securing tickets for all home games in future seasons.
Towards the end zone, caught by Donovan Peoples-Jones, touchdown! The Browns are winners again.
Deposits start at just $100 per seat. Reserve your spot today by visiting clevelandbrowns.com. Welcome back to Browns Live. Nathan Zegura, excited to welcome in the Hoff, Joe Thomas. And Joe, when you watched the game on Sunday, I'm sure you were glad you were not a Chicago Bears offensive lineman. 9 sacks for the Browns, a franchise record, 4.5 for Myles Garrett. And many times it seemed like a flat-out jailbreak to the young quarterback, Justin Fields. What did you see? And what happens in an offensive line room when something like that goes down?
Yeah, it was not pretty. Those guys are definitely not feeling good watching that film on a Monday morning when you have a young quarterback that's getting a little bit confused with what he's seeing, so he's holding on to the football, and you have an offensive line that's being completely overwhelmed by the Browns' defensive line. That is a recipe for an offensive lineman's nightmare.
It sure was, and Myles Garrett made certain it was that way. 4.5 sacks in the game, a new Cleveland Browns franchise record. At one point, the crowd chanting, Myles Garrett. He acknowledged him. It was an incredible scene at First Energy Stadium. But that's not all you're going to know about Myles Garrett, because he's in this week's Player Spotlight presented by McDonald's.
All right, we're joined now by Browns Pro Bowl defensive end Myles Garrett. And Myles, is there much left to say about your performance against the Bears? And when you look back on it, what stands out most to you?
The way we were rushing together. It was a collective effort from the whole unit, top down, and we rushed like we were supposed to. I mean, we fit the bill this week, and we have to continue to do that to show that we prove to management and our coaches and to ourselves that we deserve the praise we've been getting.
Now on Browns Live, we get a lot of questions from fans, and a bunch of them have poured in here. And I'll ask this one from Dave G. He asks, the defense played noticeably more aggressive versus Chicago. Is that how the group will be moving forward, or is it a different style week to week based on the matchup?
It's not up to me. At the end of the day, I have to play the scheme that was put forth in front of us. And I like playing aggressive, I like getting off the ball, I like attacking. But you also can't fall into the traps that next week's opponent has for you. So we're gonna play the game. We're gonna do what fits us, but we're also gonna try to capitalize on the weaknesses of our opponent.
And it wasn't just you, obviously, getting the sacks on Sunday against Chicago. What was it like seeing guys like Jadeveon, JOK, and Ronnie and Tack all getting involved and really getting the first big taste of knocking down the quarterback this season?
I say that's the best part of it, seeing everybody get to get their fill, everybody getting a piece of it. And Ronnie, guys like that who we usually aren't going to get in on a sack or get a hit on the quarterback, but able to come down and make a play, or knock him back and try to get him out of field goal range. Just make big plays all across the board, and that's what we need to do. That's what we need to do all year to prove we are about our business.
I know it's hard to be better than you guys were this past week, but what are some of the points of emphasis and areas where you guys really think you can be better than you were last week?
Definitely takeaways. Still don't have enough. We got one overturned because of a penalty, but we're negative in the turnover margin, and so we have to start taking the ball away. That's on us. We have to be better than the defense on the other side, and for the most part we were, but they still managed to be better than us in that regard.
How important would this be? I know you obviously want to get a win, but is there any extra significance knowing your coach spent so many years in Minnesota?
Oh, maybe for him, but for us, we just got to go out there and be 1-0. I know he probably has some added motivation being there and wanted to go back and get a W on what he feels like is his path home. But he's here now, and we're just trying to keep the ball rolling.
Miles, thank you so much. Good luck Sunday against the Vikings.
Thank you.
Great to be able to hear from Miles after that historic performance, Joe. And you go back to when you first lined up against him. At that point, did you know right away, rep number one, that this guy was going to be special?
Yeah, I'll never forget the first rep that I had live against Myles Garrett when he was a rookie. It was actually a screen play. So as a tackle with the screen, it's okay to kind of let your guy go up the field, but the way he bursted off the ball and sprinted past me, it wouldn't have mattered if it was a screen play or a drop back pass. My quarterback was getting sacked, and I had to recalibrate my speed system because he was playing at a different level that even professional all-pro guys like Dwight Freeney and DeMarcus Ware, some of the fastest guys in the game, I had never seen playing at that speed. So it's no surprise to me that he's got a career already the way he has, and he's on pace for even bigger and better things after that huge game against the Bears with 4.5 sacks.
Yeah, leading the NFL in sacks, and many think leading the Defensive Player of the Year race after only 3 games. When we come back on Browns Live, Joe and I are going to go in the film room to break down one of Myles Garrett's sacks, as well as a Browns offensive touchdown. We love this segment. We know you do too. So don't go anywhere. It's coming up next.
They said it couldn't be done, but somehow CCM was able to close this home in just 21 days. Carl, how'd you pull this off?
Oh, hard work, dedication, grinding.
Were you ever worried?
Well, Chloe, they pinned us in deep in the second bedroom, inspection issues, but we regrouped. Knew there was still a lot in play.
Well, I'm sure the Franklins were pleasantly surprised.
We got a good organization here. A lot to look forward to.
Good luck with the next close. And there you have it. Cross Country Mortgage is dedicated to getting it done.
Touchdown, Mitchell! He's done it again!
Be part of one of the most passionate fan bases in the NFL. Join the Browns season ticket member waitlist today for the best chance at securing tickets for all home games in future seasons.
Towards the end zone, caught by Donovan Peoples-Jones, touchdown! The Browns are winners again!
Deposits start at just $100 per seat. Reserve your spot today by visiting clevelandbrowns.com.
The world has changed, but some facts remain. Every 40 seconds, someone has a heart attack, and every hour, over 700 people suffer a broken bone. While those numbers haven't changed, there are fewer people seeking the treatment they need. If you're injured, sick, or in pain, it's safe to get the care you need at university hospitals. Protecting your health with science and compassion. That's UH Safe.
Welcome back into Browns Live. Nathan Zegura and the Hoff, Joe Thomas. And Joe, a dominant defensive performance. 47 total yards allowed by the Browns in this game. 1 net passing yards. Do you know anything? Have you even heard of dominance like this?
I've been dominated a few times in my career, and usually that meant we only had about 100 yards passing. And so for the Browns defense to hold the Chicago Bears offense to 1 net passing yard is truly remarkable. And really the way you do that is you sack the quarterback, you get after him. Because as you guys know, in the NFL game, a sack counts again against passing yards. And it really is one of the most important things that a defense can do when they're on the field, because it usually means the drive is over, because the down and distance becomes way too much to overcome. So kudos to the Browns defense for getting after Justin Fields in his very first start.
All right, let's take a look at one of those sacks as we go into the film room for this week's play breakdown presented by Microsoft. And we'll start here. And this is one where it felt like Jason Peters said, I'm just going to try anything. I'm just going to throw myself at his legs, and if he doesn't have legs, maybe he can't get to the quarterback. But an interesting alignment here. You have Miles way out in a wide 9, Tack way out in a wide 9, and then you have Jadeveon Clowney over the right tackle, and you've got Malik Jackson kind of in between that left tackle and the left guard there. Nobody in the middle of the field for the Browns defense, Joe.
Yeah, what this does is it kind of gives the offensive linemen the illusion that they have to widen out to go block the guys that they're responsible for. And a lot of times it can create space inside for the Browns to run some of their twist games, or to just penetrate into those gaps, into the space that those offensive linemen have given up as they fan out to go block their guys. And here, this is a great job by the Browns with Myles Garrett getting off the football. You can see the running back trying to help left tackle Jason Peters, but Jason is just hanging on for dear life, trying to get in Miles' way. There's a little bit of a double team. Actually, this could have been a high-low. When I saw this in real time, I thought that the referees were going to throw a penalty for going low as the running back was making contact high. But Myles Garrett is just winning with effort. And a lot of times sacks are more a byproduct of being at the crossroads of the opportunity from the offense and effort. That's exactly what you get here with Myles Garrett. The ball gets held just long enough for Myles to be able to turn the corner, use that great speed and explosion to get Justin Fields around the waist and bring him down to that first energy turf for his very first sack of the game.
With the end of the first half, the Browns wanted to get the ball into the end zone. They got a huge third down conversion from Baker Mayfield to Donovan Peoples-Jones to kickstart this drive. Remember, it's 3-3 at this point, and the Bears had negative total yards, and so you kind of had that uneasy feeling. We've got to make something happen. Well, you get in the red zone, and the Browns have been phenomenal down there. Baker Mayfield to Austin Hooper. And Joe, this is a classic cover 2 beater, and you have to wonder if all that cover 2 studying they did a week ago for the Houston Texans paid off in a big way right here.
Yeah, it definitely paid off right here. Now in the red zone, the windows are going to get a little bit tighter as the defense has less and less grass to defend. This touchdown catch with Austin Hooper, the Bears are playing that cover 2 like you mentioned, which is stingy down in the red zone, especially because those windows, they're pretty small. One of those windows, just like the Browns use here, it's right over the top of the linebacker's head and in front of those safeties. So the ball has to come low and fast in a very small window, because if the ball gets lobbed too high over that linebacker's head, the safeties have time to break on the football because their eyes are on the quarterback in this zone coverage. If it's too low, obviously, then the linebacker can make the play. So Baker puts this ball exactly in the perfect spot with the perfect timing. You see Baker get back in his drop. He puts his back foot in the ground, and the ball comes out with precision and decisively. He puts it exactly in that spot where only Austin Hooper can reach out those hands and catch it. And then the most important thing is he is able to catch the football with his hands, bring the ball into his body, and protect himself before contact comes. A lot of times you see those quarterbacks, they'll throw it too far towards that far safety, and then that safety is able to make a hit on the tight end, and not all tight ends are good enough to be able to get hit when the ball is still in their hands before they bring it into their body. But not Austin Hooper. It doesn't matter. Even if the throw wasn't perfect, Austin's got those great hands, especially in the red zone, where he is Mr. Reliable. And in the red zone, the best friend of a quarterback is a tight end with great hands. Great job executing, and a great play call from Kevin Stefanski to take advantage of the coverage you expected to see when you get down in the red zone.
It was a great job, and sometimes it's all about execution. Once they dropped to that cover two, he knew Austin Hooper, the target, gets it there, and Hoop, as you mentioned, that great diving hands catch. Joe, always a pleasure to have you here on Browns Live. The Browns heading to Minnesota to take on the Vikings, a homecoming for head coach Kevin Stefanski. Do you think there are going to be some real emotions there, and does this one have a little something extra for the Browns?
Well, as you guys know, Kevin Stefanski, he's not going to lead on one bit about this meaning more to him than any other game, but you know it is. When you've spent as much time as Kevin Stefanski did with the Vikings, this game means a little bit more because you always want to come home and show the folks that saw you grow up as a professional coach, and you can show them how good you're doing at your new spot. So this one's going to mean a little bit more for Kevin Stefanski and for all those players who love Stefanski so much.
Which is the entire Cleveland Browns roster. And speaking of the head coach of the Browns, he is up next to preview his return to Minnesota when Browns Live returns.
The world has changed, but some facts remain. Every 40 seconds, someone has a heart attack. And every hour, over 700 people suffer a broken bone. While those numbers haven't changed, there are fewer people seeking the treatment they need. If you're injured, sick, or in pain, it's safe to get the care you need at university hospitals. Protecting your health with science and compassion. That's UH Safe.
Touchdown, Nick Chubb! He's done it again!
Be part of one of the most passionate fan bases in the NFL. Join the Browns season ticket member waitlist today for the best chance of securing tickets for all home games in future seasons.
Towards the end zone, caught by Donovan Peoples-Jones, touchdown! The Browns are winners again!
Deposits start at just $100 per seat. Reserve your spot today by visiting clevelandbrowns.com.
They said it couldn't be done, but somehow CCM was able to close this home in just 21 days. Carl, how'd you pull this off?
Oh, hard work, dedication, grinding.
Were you ever worried?
Well, you know, Chloe, they pinned us in deep in the second bedroom, inspection issues, but we regrouped. Knew there was still a lot in play.
Well, I'm sure the Franklins were pleasantly surprised.
We got a good organization here. A lot to look forward to.
Good luck with the next close. And there you have it. Cross Country Mortgages dedicated to getting it done.
Welcome back into Browns Live. Time now for our game preview presented by Ticketmaster. And for that, we welcome back in the head coach of your Cleveland Browns, Kevin Stefanski. And coach, I know this is a big one because it is the next one, but also a little personal return to Minnesota angle there. And for a lot of the guys on this staff, quite frankly, how do you kind of keep it locked in, focused on just the task at hand going 1-0?
It's not that hard, and I'll tell you why. When you look at this depth chart of the team we're facing, I mean, they have great players throughout this roster. Think about offensively, with Thielen and Jefferson, the quarterback, Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook. I mean, there's great players. Flip over to the defense. They brought in a bunch of great players. Patrick Peterson is there now, Eric Kendricks, Harrison Smith, Daniil Hunter, and then a really good coaching staff. So the easy answer to that, Nathan, is this is going to be a tough game. This is a really well-coached team. It's a good team, so that really has our full attention.
This is a team that could easily be 3-0, easily. And they just took it to a team that a lot of people had high hopes for, the Seattle Seahawks, a week ago. What stands out about what they're doing right now, and we'll stay on offense, because it seems to be just so efficient?
They're doing a great job. Clint Kubiak is the offensive coordinator there. They're doing a nice job in the run game. They have bunch of different runs. Dalvin Cook, I think, is one of the best in the league at making you miss. The first guy very rarely gets him down, so we have to play a relentless style to stop that run. And then the two players on the outside. I mean, I was around Adam Thielen. I know what he's capable of. He's a great player. Justin Jefferson, the young player, now the second-year wide receiver that they have, was outstanding last year. He continues to make plays this year. So it really presents a challenge when you have guys on the perimeter and a running back that can make you miss, coupled with a trigger man. Kirk's playing at as high a level as anybody is right now in the game.
Is it fun watching their tape and saying there are a lot of similarities in what we're doing here? Some of the play action boot concepts, some of the run. Is that kind of fun when you watch that and see how, a similar style offense is doing things maybe a little differently than what we're doing here?
Yeah, I think we both definitely start from the same place. And then they do things differently than we do, but as I watch their tape, I know exactly what they're trying to accomplish, what they're trying to do. Just having some knowledge about the scheme, if you will. But it's really sound, and I think they're doing a nice job of putting their guys in position to go make plays.
All right, when you have a quarterback like Kirk Cousins, what's kind of the challenge presented to the defense, and how do you go from, all right, maybe we're not going to get home, but let's get our hands up and maybe we can get some batted balls?
Yeah, ultimately you'd love to get some batted balls. Kirk's outstanding. I mean, he processes information as good as anybody I've ever been around. And when he's in there in the dome and there's no crowd noise, he does a great job. So our disguise has to be on point. We have to rush the passer with the intention, like you mentioned, if the ball is coming out, get your hands up, those type of things. But he's just playing at a high level. They're doing a really nice job with what they're asking him to do. He's making plays off schedule. So we have our work cut out for us. This is a really, really big challenge for us.
This question, Coach, comes from Logan, and he says, you already handled the emotions part of it because you're focused on getting this 1-0 against a good football team, but how do you prepare for a team with two great wideouts like Thielen and Jefferson, especially in a week where Greg Newsome won't be out there, but Greedy Williams ready to step up?
Yeah, Logan, it's hard. It's when you see those guys and you see them make a variety of plays. They can make plays on the outside, they can make plays on the inside. So we have to be sharp in what we do. We have a plan, we got to execute the plan, but we got to be sharp in our assignments. You got to be sharp in who's potentially coming down to help from the safety position, who's maybe rolling over the top. You can't just do one thing versus these guys. You got to mix up the coverages. And then I think it's ultimately we just got to go make plays against some pretty good players.
Now, they haven't really pushed it down the field a ton, 6 passes of over 20 yards, but from that 9-yard in range, that's about 70% of their completions. They're deadly, and then they're deadly after the catch. 500 of their more than 900 yards passing come after the catch. How does that kind of change the mindset of what you do defensively, knowing it's coming out quick, but we've got to get some tight windows to throw in?
Yeah, I think it also would speak to you have to be relentless in your pursuit on defense. Sometimes when you play those zones and you want to limit the explosives, when the ball does get thrown underneath, now you have to have that football where you converge on the ball carrier and try and get the ball out. You sometimes, one of the things about zone defense, or really defense in general, you can't cover everything. So you're going to give up some zones, and now you have to rally to the football. So that's how you limit yak. When they want to throw the ball underneath, we got to have an ability to go vice tackle and get the ball out.
Coach, thanks so much for the time, and best of luck on Sunday going 1-0 in Minnesota. We'll have full coverage for you of this game beginning at 11 a.m. on News 5. Browns Countdown with the latest on the Browns and the Vikings. For the head coach of your Cleveland Browns, Kevin Stefanski, Joe Thomas, and Myles Garrett, I'm Nathan Zegura, thanking you, the best fans in all of professional sports, for watching another edition